You're listening to The Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Woo, 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 woo.
Well, baddies, I did want to start out by saying we do have some news for you. As Sam has alluded to, this is a little bit of a crazy time in her life right now. So, that being said, this is going to be our last episode of season 2.
All my fault. Lexi's being so nice and she's like, hey, let's just wait till you get your life together. So honestly, TBD season 3, but we will for sure be back. We like this stuff. We just gotta give Sam some time, you guys, please, and be nice.
If you know, you know, you know. Um,
Ikea, isn't that a thing? Ikea, Ikea.
oh yeah, ikya, ikya, iyik, iyik. If you know, iyik, 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 iyik. Anyways, yeah. So this will be the last episode for a while. So we hope you enjoy it.
We're sad. Well, I am. Maybe Lexi is.
Nope, not sad at all. 0% sad. I actually was thinking yesterday. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like our last weekly Zoom call.
I know we're gonna have to talk on the phone way more. I mean, we do talk on the phone still, you guys, but for
Yeah.
Zooms, we talk a long time.
We'll just have to start FaceTiming
Yay! Yes, let's do that.
because every time I FaceTime you, you don't answer, and then I have to go out into the world with an outfit that I'm unsure of.
This is very true. I was very against the do not disturb trend, and then I started using it, and now I love it, and now I forget to turn it off. So Lexi calls me quite often, and I have do not disturb on.
Yes, and then I FaceTime her every time I need help putting an outfit together, and then she doesn't answer because she has do not disturb on, and then like an hour and a half later, she's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm out in public now. It's if this outfit sucks, then I look ugly, and it's all your fault."
Hopefully, this works out. However,
Yeah.
I've called you before, and you haven't answered before for me for outfits.
That's true.
Remember?
Yes, we've done it to each other. Well, it is a Sam episode for our last episode of season 2,
Ooh, 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 ooh. Are you ready?
and it's not a two-parter.
It is not a two-parter.
Shocker.
Are you excited?
I am because I saw the name on the spreadsheet, but I don't know anything about this case. I don't think.
Oh, I was wondering if you do. Well, you might. Let's dive into it. All right, Baddies and Lex. This case is honestly such a messy, wild case, and it's very sad because, of course, but also because two children are involved with all the messiness. So honestly, it was hard to research and write this because you thinking about the kids involved. I did watch a pretty good documentary on Netflix for this one and got a lot of information from there. And it will be linked, but it's called A Deadly American Marriage. Have you seen that, Lex?
What's it on?
Netflix, A Deadly American Marriage.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, go watch it, you guys. But I do get a lot of my information from there. I use other sources as well, but it's still a very good documentary if you're into true crime documentaries, of course. Today, I'm going to be telling you the story of Jason Corbett and Molly Martens. Jason Corbett was born February 12th, 1976, and is actually originally from Ireland.
That's 2 days from now when we're recording.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize that. That's actually crazy. Also, having you
Yeah.
been to Ireland before?
I have been to Ireland. It's one of the most amazing places in the world, and everybody should go. And the food is great, and the people are great, and it's wonderful.
I want to go so bad. I want to visit. But while in Ireland, he's from there, he's living there, he meets a woman named Margaret Fitzpatrick, who goes by Mags. That was introduced to him by her best friend, Lynn. By all accounts of those close to the couple, they were very much in love and a perfect match. And they end up getting married in 2003 on June 28th. On September 18th, 2004, Jason and Mags welcomed their first child, Jack. And just 2 years later, on September 2nd, 2006, they welcomed their second child, Sarah. And I do want to point out I'm adding the names and birthdays because they do appear in the documentary. So they are publicly known for this case, or else I probably wouldn't have edited that.
That's all very just regular names.
It really is. But Jason Corbett himself is described as being super kind, Charismatic, loud, and like family meant everything to him. Very tragically, in November of 2006, just 2 months after Sarah is born, Mags, who is a known asthmatic, sadly dies from acute cardiorespiratory arrest, secondary known to bronchospasm. And I don't know if I'm saying that right.
What?
Yeah, basically, she had a very severe asthma attack.
Oh my God.
Yes, this broke Jason, and he would like write letters and leave them on Mags's gravesite, and it was just like an awful time for this new family.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Jason was 30 years old and left alone with his grief and two small children to raise, and I literally can't even let my mind go there and imagine
No,
that at
they're
all.
so tiny
Yes,
and like unexpected.
so unexpected. About 2 years after his first wife died, he hired 25-year-old Molly Martens as an au pair. Molly Martens was born September 28th, 1983. She is an American and she's originally from Knoxville, Tennessee. She came to Limerick, Ireland in 2008, started working as a nanny for Jason and caring for now 3-year-old Jack and 1-year-old Sarah.
Oh my God, they're so little.
So little.
Also, like, I hate that this is a true crime story that you're telling me right now because, like, that has already happened to them. And now that poor family, and now we're going to do some kind of true crime thing, which obviously sounds like a deadly marriage.
Yes, it's literally terrible, which is again why it was hard for me even to do this case because I'm like watching this documentary, thinking of these kids. It's just like sad. It's very sad.
Also, on like a real big tangent, real fast. Sometimes when I hear about these like nannies that go over to different countries and nanny, I'm like, that's freaking what I should have done when I was in my 20s.
That would have been literally the perfect job for you.
I know.
You could
I
still do
don't
it.
want to go live in someone else's house in another country and nanny for them anymore. But in my 20s, that would have been awesome.
It would have been. Now it's said that within weeks of Molly's arrival in Ireland, the two, Jason and Molly, became romantically involved, which is already messy, especially like that early of her coming. But Molly says that Jason was charming and funny and made her feel very special. Jason's sister Tracy said that Molly wasn't in the country long when she started suspecting that they were in a relationship.
It's always those nannies, man. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't go.
That's true. Oh my gosh. No, this would never happen to you. Now Sarah, the youngest daughter, is only 1 when Molly starts taking care of her and her brother, and very early on, Sarah starts calling Molly mom. Yes.
That's so difficult because like that child probably doesn't remember their mom at all.
Yes. And like, yes, she's romantically involved with the dad at this point, but she's also in this motherly role of taking care of her as nanny. So to me, it makes sense how this could happen.
Yes. I mean, like, even the girls, they were like totally different situation. But when I started dating Dustin, they were 4 and 5. They had just turned 4 and 5. And they would sometimes accidentally call me mom,
Yeah, which
even
makes
though their mom
sense.
is alive and well and they spend a lot of time with her.
Yeah.
It just, it's a little kid thing. Or like, I think about like when you'd call your teacher mom at school
Oh
on
my God, so
accident.
embarrassing. You get all
Yeah.
embarrassed. We do see, though, that in emails to each other, Jason said to Molly that he wanted to slow the relationship down for the sake of his children, but Molly wanted the relationship validated and seemed to be like a little pushy for it. Now, timeline is a little murky here, but Jason and Molly end up getting engaged, and in April of 2011, Jason, Molly, Jack, and Sarah moved to North Carolina to be closer to Molly's family.
He moves his kids to a completely different country.
Yes. However, they were actually really excited because they moved into this very large home. They started joining sports teams and like really immersed themselves into the community. So it was actually like, by all accounts, a very positive experience. But yes, the kids were moved across the country.
You started dating your nanny and then moved to a different country to be with her.
That is what happened.
And my mind cannot wrap around this.
It is a wild, messy story. Shortly after the move to North Carolina, there was a wedding, like a couple weeks, and everyone was very excited and had a lot of fun being there. However, this is the first time Jason's sister, Tracy, sees some cracks in the foundation and realizes like something's amiss here. So she's just like having a casual conversation with Molly's maid of honor, as one does at a wedding. And the maid of honor is like, it is so wild how this happened. Like, Molly went to Ireland to be the godparent to Jason's children because her and Mags were childhood best friends and they fell in love. And now she's raising their children.
What?
Yeah, Tracy's like, hold up. That's literally not what happened. My brother hired her as an au pair. So Molly spun this story to everyone on her side that her and Mag were childhood best friends growing up, and she moved down there to help Jason with the kids because she was the godparent.
That sounds worse. To me, I'd rather be the nanny that this guy fell in love with than I'm marrying my best friend who died's husband.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
It's very, very messy.
Oh my God, I'm going to be so angry this whole episode. I can tell already.
I know. I honestly was while I was doing this, very curious, like when and who you'd be angry with. But let's fast forward to August 2nd, 2015. There is a 911 call to the Davidson County Police Department. The man calling is a man named Tom Martin, Molly's father. He tells the 911 operator very calmly, like, I am Tom Martens and we need your help. They are like, what happened? Tom says, my daughter and son-in-law got into a fight and I intervened with a baseball bat. Again, he's being very calm, and you do hear a woman saying help in the background. The 911 operator asks if the husband is breathing, and Tom is like, I can't tell. Then they say, start doing CPR, and you hear Tom and the woman on the phone, like, counting CPR reps.
Okay, I need more information before I say anything.
Probably good. The police go to the Meadowlands, North Carolina home and look in the master bedroom, and it is a pretty horrific scene. The detective on the documentary, she's like, this is one of the bloodiest scenes I've seen in a very long time. Jason was unfortunately announced dead at the scene. But of course, the police bring in Molly and her dad and talk to them separately to be like, what the heck is going on here? Like, what happened? And Molly says in her interview that her and Jason were fighting. Their daughter, Sarah, had a nightmare, and either she or Sarah woke up Jason, and he got really angry for being woken up. She said Jason started choking her.
What?
According to her, Jason let go for a second, and she screamed really loudly, and that is when her dad, Tom, came into the room.
Wait, so they were living with her dad? I'm confused.
Tom is visiting, staying downstairs.
Okay.
From Molly, she screamed, and Tom heard it and ran upstairs.
Also, I just Googled crime scene photos and...
Rough.
Yeah.
Tom tells police that he heard arguing and thumping from the floor above, and it clearly sounded bad. So he grabbed a bat and he ran upstairs. And Tom says he found Jason with his hands around his daughter's throat. And once Jason noticed him, he tightened his grip, and Tom was like, let her go. And Jason allegedly responded, I'm going to kill her. And then he changes his chokehold to Molly and starts like walking towards the bathroom. And that is when Tom swung the bat.
Okay.
Which I'm sure a terrible scene if said scene happened, right?
I don't always believe the woman, but this sounds very suspicious. Also, okay, I hit this guy with a baseball bat to get him off my wife. Like, that's different than I beat this man to death with a baseball bat.
Which police will definitely bring up later. Yes, you're already on the right track.
Because, like, based on crime scene photos, it wasn't like he just, like, hit him 3 times and his head accidentally bust open and he died.
There's blood everywhere.
Yeah, it's not just in one concentrated spot in the room. It's okay. Moving on.
Tom and Molly both tell the police that somehow Jason got the baseball bat and tried to hit the dad, Tom, with it, but missed. And then Molly grabs a brick by her nightstand and smacks him on the head with it.
Why the fuck is there a brick by her nightstand?
Well, I can answer that for you. This is actually too like it's not like a home brick that like you think of in your head. It's like a landscaping type brick, which is like a big, thick brick.
It
Um,
was bad enough when I thought it was a house brick.
I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. Lexi's face is just funny right now, you guys. But Molly says the reason she had this brick on her nightstand was because the children were going to paint it and put it like either around the mailbox or in the garden or something. And it started raining that day, and she didn't want it to get wet if they were going to paint it the next day. So she brought it to her room.
And put it on her nightstand.
I probably wouldn't bring a landscaping brick into my room on the nightstand, especially like bugs and stuff, but that's me.
Well, also, like, you have nowhere else in your entire. They said they moved to a big house. You have nowhere else. You don't have a mud room, a fucking garage, somewhere else to put this fucking landscaping brick. You put it on your nightstand where you sleep.
That is what happened.
Come on, Molly. That's her name, right?
Molly, yes. Anyway, the police ask her, how many times did you hit Jason? And she and her dad both say they don't remember because they were fighting for their lives.
Also, okay. I don't know that I could like beat someone with a landscape. I work out and I don't know that I could pick up a landscaping brick and beat someone with it.
Super true, because I guess I didn't think about how many times she used said landscaping brick.
And she's like little. She's not.
She's a tinier woman.
I just like to think about like picking a landscaping brick over my head and hitting someone with it. That seems hard.
It makes me cringe. The police tell Molly her husband didn't survive the injuries, and she's like, I didn't think so, and appears to get emotional here. Then they ask if there's anyone from Jason's family she wants them to reach out to, and she says that she's afraid to contact the family because she's afraid they will try to take the children from her.
They should. They're not your children.
So, Molly's dad, Tom, seems like super chill and in control in these interviews. Well, we find out Tom is a retired FBI agent with his background including the criminal side of things, but also Central Intelligence, where he legit helped other officers in interrogation situations.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, he's an expert at that.
Yeah, so Tom appears to be very much in control of the narrative and presenting things the way he wants to. Like, for instance, he says he never saw Molly hit Jason, and the police find that, like, very hard to believe.
Yeah, what? You were just close your eyes, blinked?
Yeah.
Like, how fast did she hit him with a landscaping fucking brick?
Yeah. Another, like, super bizarre thing I think about the story, and, like, I tried looking more into it and couldn't find much. But Molly's mother, Sharon, was also visiting. She said she and her husband, Tom, woke up from the ruckus and Mary's scream, and her husband got up and went to look with a baseball bat, but Sharon turned around and went back to bed and slept through the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, that seems plausible.
And, like, maybe like our family is just different, but I feel like we would be, like, running up the stairs too, like, what the poo are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, we want to, it's her daughter.
Also, you slept through them beating a man to death.
Yeah. Also, remember on the 911 recording how it appeared that Tom and Molly were doing CPR? Well, experts did listen to it, and they said it doesn't sound like they're actually doing CPR because there would be like heavy breathing, and they wouldn't just be like, yeah, 1, 2, like how they were counting.
I knew it for some reason.
And when paramedics got there, the body was already cooled, which would have been very odd if they were, in fact, administering CPR. It probably most likely wouldn't have been cool. They said it was possible, but most likely. Within hours of Jason's death, Molly and Tom returned to the home.
It's what?
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, okay, we're going to sleep here tonight.
They returned to the home within hours. One day after the murder, the family in Ireland is notified, and Jason's sister Tracy, of course, tries calling Molly a bunch of times to like check on the children and find out what happened. But Molly doesn't answer.
Oh my God. Oh my God. If this was me and I was in a different country than my nieces and nephews, which I don't have, but one day, and I will, I found out my sibling died and their significant other is not answering the phone, I would be
I
livid.
I can't even imagine. But they go to get on a flight. But right before
Yeah.
they do that, they do make sure to grab a copy of Jason's will because in it, he mentions Tracy and her husband as guardians if anything were to happen to him, not Molly.
Yes, Tracy.
So this was a form of tension in the marriage because Molly wanted to legally adopt the children. And later through the investigation, police will find out that months after the wedding, Molly actually visited a divorce attorney to explore her rights to the children. Jason would tell Molly, I'm working on the adoption, but he never went through with it. And there's actually an email to his attorneys where he asks, like, if I let Molly sign custody papers and they were to divorce, would it be possible the children could go to Molly's care? And the attorney was like, yeah, that is possible. And Tracy, Jason's sister, was like, Jason would never risk that. So that's probably why he never actually did it and just was like, oh, yeah, I'm working on it.
Agreed. And like, I am in not like a true stepmother position, but a
You
stepmother
are.
esque position. And I love stepmothers. I think they're amazing. I think they're great. I'm sorry you don't have any rights to those children
Which is true.
unless your spouse wants you to.
Yes. Yes.
But they will always be your spouse's kid first.
And I feel like you may be in a more understanding role because, like, we are divorced kids. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
Lexi is very, like, I commend you for, like, thinking that and being always like, no, your mom's your mom and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's great.
But I think even like people in girlfriend positions, like the girl that Dustin dated before me, she got mad and said she had a right to see the kids after they broke up. And I was
Oh.
like, no, they're not your kids.
It's sad, but true. Because I'm sure she
Yeah.
loved them, but no, you're right.
Yeah.
Within 48 hours of Jason's death, Molly is filing legal guardianship for Jack and Sarah.
I mean,
Again, messy.
yeah.
Now, Tracy and her husband ask for supervised visits with the children because, like, can we get visits? They're not getting answers. Okay, what about supervised visits? And Molly won't allow it.
You would think if you really truly cared about these children that you would be like, yes, they need family, they need support. Come hang out with them, make them feel like life is normal for a second.
Yes, yes. And especially, like, their dad's sister, who their dad was just
Yeah.
murdered.
Like bring them presents and play with them and let's all chill and just be a support system for them.
Exactly. Tracy and her husband also go to the funeral home and they ask to see Jason's body. And the funeral home director seems very upset when he tells them, I'm sorry, but I'm under explicit instructions not to let you two see the body.
That would be a giant red flag for me.
1,000.
Like, I'm sorry, what? You went to the funeral home director, Molly, and said, these two people specifically cannot view the body?
Apparently, but after
Why would that even be? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Go ahead.
Why would that even be on your mind when your husband was just beaten to death by you and your father?
Yeah, that is like a very I didn't look at it that way. Odd thing to be on your list of things to do. After 4 days of legal action, though, the sister can finally see Jason's body, and she says it was absolutely horrendous. She also acknowledges what I think seems to be get lost in translation sometimes, that she can't believe the children were literally in the other room laying feet away from what happened.
Yeah, that's insane. I thought about that too, but I didn't say it because it made my stomach hurt.
Yeah, it's so awful. When the autopsy findings come out, they are absolutely horrific. Jason had abrasions on his forehead, under his eyes, on his shoulder blades, and on his head. Jason had so many blows to his head that the pathologist couldn't even count them because they overlapped.
That's not defending your daughter or defending your dad or trying to keep a man from hurting you.
And this is awful, but like during the autopsy, a chunk of Jason's skull fell onto the table. And the pathologist was like, this would have taken an incredible amount of force for that to happen.
That's awful.
Now, also 4 days after the murder, the children are taken to a child advocacy center to be interviewed. Jack is 10 and Sarah is 8 at this time, so very young. These interviews are on the documentary, well, snippets, right? And in it, Jack says his sister had a nightmare about insects on the bed, and his dad got very mad, and his parents started screaming at each other. That is when his grandpa went up and hit him with a bat. He says his dad grabbed the bat, and so his mom took the cinder block brick and hit his dad in the head with it, and that is how he died.
Wait, was the son there? Or is this a story that they told the son to say?
Well, the interviewer's like, well, how did you know your sister had that nightmare and stuff? And Jack responds with, my mom told me. So I think that is what the mom told him.
Oh my God.
A.K.A. Molly.
Not the mom.
And also horrific that you give your son or your stepson details like that.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
That's disgusting. No matter what, even if this whole story was true and his dad is choking her and this is the only way that she can get out of it, you don't explain in detail that to a 10-year-old. You don't.
He knew exactly what they told the police.
Yep. You don't explain that to a 10-year-old. If that's literally exactly word for word what happened, you don't tell a 10-year-old this is what happened that night.
Yes.
That your father died.
Then the interviewers are like, ask about the parents. Like, is it normal that your parents fight like this? And Sarah said, yes, he gets angry at my mom for leaving one light on. He would scream at her. And she also says one time she saw her dad hit Molly. Jack says that he would see his dad get very mad at little things. And when he would get mad, he would physically and verbally hurt his mom. He said he saw the physical once or twice, which was punching and hitting. Now, for a 10-year-old to say he saw his dad verbally hurt Molly instead of say, like, he said mean things, stood out to the investigators.
I was going to say, if this is true, this is very, very sad.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I have been around kids who are victims of horrible things. And they don't usually talk like that about it.
That's what the investigators on this basically were just like, this is not the language a 10-year-old would use in this situation. They also noticed, like the above response, that a lot of their responses were, my mom told me. My mom told me. So was it possible they were coached in their responses? This is what investigators are thinking upon this initial view.
Which, if that's true, that's so awful. Your dad just died. You're in a different country than your family, and you have been for years, so you don't even know that. You don't remember your mom, and then this woman who you consider your mother is sitting there coaching you to make sure that she sounds good in an interview.
Yeah, and it's like a woman that they grew up with, and they, like, the children appear on the documentary, and they're like, we loved Molly. Like, she was the motherly role. Messy. There are other weird things that investigators notice as well. In the initial interviews with Tom and Molly, Tom said he was scared for his and his daughter's life because Jason was a big martial arts guy and a boxer. But later, Tracy, his sister, is like, that is such a lie. He wasn't involved in any of that.
The pictures I saw, he definitely doesn't look like he is.
No. Also, in these initial interviews, both Molly and her dad said Jason was drunk. But when the toxicology report came out, his blood alcohol level was only 0.2. Jason also had a 0.5 milligram thing of a sleep medication in his system though as well. But they said he was like super drunk and he wasn't.
Well, if they were sleeping in the middle of the night, like what he got wasted right before he fell asleep. Also like that doesn't make sense. He was sleeping when the daughter woke him up.
True.
Which I know you can still be drunk while you're sleeping, but that's doesn't make sense to me.
For sure. Staying with the initial interviews, Tom said he was standing in front of Jason during the attack. But Jason's injuries were mostly on his backside, and of course they looked at the blood splatter and defects on the wall. There was blood in the master bedroom, hallway, bathroom. There was also a clear spot that Jason was hit on his head inches from the ground. Like there was like a huge mark on the wall, inches from the ground. So he was already down at that point. So if this was self-defense, like you've been saying, Lax, this seems excessive. There was a lot of blood splatter on the back of the door, like the door is closed. So investigators are questioning at what point, if any, was this self-defense? And then the other point where Molly and Tom are beating Jason to death. Like, where's the line there?
Yeah.
So, through the course of the investigation, the police obviously talked to other people as well to understand the relationship dynamic and whatnot, and some wild things come out. For instance, one of the neighbors said that Molly was a part of like their neighborhood book club, and one of the members told everyone she was pregnant, and she's all excited, right? Well, Molly starts telling everyone about her story about how she gave birth to Sarah.
What?
But remember, she didn't. And some of the neighbors in the room knew this. So just so bizarre.
She is Delulu, like for real Delulu. Like first you make up a story that you knew his dead wife from childhood and you went there to help him take care of his kids. And then you say you gave birth to a child you didn't give birth to. I was going to say earlier, but I was waiting for more information that like this really feels like the motivation was having these kids all to herself. And
I get those vibes hard.
now that she said that like I think she wanted everyone to believe those were her actual kids.
Yeah. Yes. It also comes out that Molly actually told her college roommate that her sister died of cancer, and this was very untrue. And like, no one should ever lie about that.
So she's just like a pathological liar for attention.
Yes, it appears to investigators Molly has a lying problem, and this obviously is very problematic in a murder investigation.
This is not a lying problem. A lying problem is like, I said I ate chicken for dinner and I didn't. Or I said that I picked up the flowers from the flower shop and I forgot.
Now, there is a custody battle between Tracy, her husband, David, and Molly. And Molly told the children that Tracy and David were trying to take them away and saying that they would have to start a new life and, frankly, just scaring the children.
That's fucking horrible. You don't care about these kids as much as you think you do, lady.
Yeah, because it's a possibility they end up with them, which the court sides with Tracy and David. And the
Thank
police
God.
have to go to Molly's house to remove the children. And like I said, the children loved Molly, so they're very upset. And this is just like a lot of trauma for them. But Tracy and David do put them in counseling right away. Tracy and David also make the decision to not allow Molly to talk to the kids. And Molly does like the dumbest thing ever, and she turns to social media and asks people to tell them she loves them and a bunch of stuff like that. Now, in January of 2016, Jack actually calls Molly to say he misses her and like says on the phone, like, please don't make this public. And Molly does. She puts the message out there.
Are you kidding me? Why? For attention. For attention.
Yes. Jack feels incredibly betrayed. So he starts looking up the case on his own. Yes. Then word gets to police from Ireland that Jack needs to speak the truth about some things, and they set up a video conference.
Oh, poor Jack.
Messy. During this time that this is all happening, they also decide, the police, that they have enough to charge Molly and her dad Tom both with the murder of Jason Corbett. But the police set up the video conference for Jack, which is important to know. It's not at the child center like the first interview, but a child psychiatrist is with him.
Oh, good.
And Jack tells the police, Molly made me lie to the people interviewing me. He says he made a lot of stories up about his dad and said that he was abusive just because Molly started to cry and say they would never see her again if they didn't say that.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
So not only were you like, here's what happened that night, if they ask you, you're like, if you don't say all this stuff, you're going to get taken away from me.
Yes. And again, this is the mother, unfortunately, that they know because their own mother passed away so early on.
These poor fucking kids.
Yes. But now the statements from the Child Development Center are hearsay, so they're not able to be used in the court case. Sarah, Jack's sister, mimics this and says Molly told her what to say in the interview. And both of the children appear on the documentary, like I said, feel incredibly guilty about their initial lies, which is also so sad.
You cannot feel guilty about that. Like, you were so young. You were told by the only trusted adult left in your entire life to say these things. Of course you did.
Yes. Agree 1,010%. Tracy then starts going through her brother's emails. Tracy's like trying to, dig some stuff up on her own. And they're concerning. One of the emails, Jason says to Molly, like, is there anything I can do to make you happy? I've done everything and you still hate yourself, hit yourself, cry in the shower, vomit, curse, and shout about me. Molly's response is like, well, no matter what you think, I do something wrong. And she feels like she messes everything up all the time. So basically, red flags showing like this toxic relationship.
Yeah.
A neighbor also reached out to Tracy and said she was at a party with Jason and Molly once, and Molly was calling him like a fat butt in front of everybody, which is terrible, and saying that Jason's twin must have took all the nutrition from him, which is like the dumbest, weirdest joke I've ever heard.
Well, it's not funny if
No.
it's supposed to be a joke. It's also nonsensical.
Yeah.
But okay, bitch.
Yeah, just odd. And Jason ended up, I guess, leaving that party early because, of course. And on occasion, Jason actually would talk to Tracy about going back to Ireland because his marriage wasn't in a good place. And on texts to friends, Jason, like, it showed a couple texts and he would say, like, Miles is still crazy. So it's just like a weird relationship.
It sounds like she was kind of verbally abusive.
Yeah, that is verbally abusive, calling your partner, your spouse, a fat butt in front of all, no matter what, behind closed doors, but in front of people as well.
Like, whatever.
But anyway, 2 years after Jason's death, the trial for Molly and Tom began, and both are actually found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced between 20 to 25 years in jail. But then, of course, Molly's attorney asks for a new trial.
Well, on what grounds?
Well, the first time which was denied was like jury tampering or something. And then now they have some base to it. According to Molly and her lawyer, this is according to Molly and her lawyer, and is going to lead up to what their base was for asking for this retrial. But Molly was actually hit a lot in the relationship. And the day after their dad's murder, a social worker did go to the house, and the children did confirm that they saw that their dad hit Molly. So this was before the Child Advocacy Center. So their claim is like Molly didn't have enough time to coach them in that aspect.
Okay.
Yeah, agree with you. Then they bring up how the Child Advocacy Center mimicked this first initial interview. So they're saying these interviews shouldn't have been thrown out. The attorney also argues that it was never brought up in court, but Jason actually went to the doctors 2 weeks prior to his death and complained to the doctor that he was getting angry for no reason lately. Jack also almost identically said that at the Child Development Center. Molly's attorney also brings up that in the Child Development Center interview, both the children, and this is on the documentary, talk about a few weeks before their dad died, their grandma gave them a code word to say over the phone, and if they said it, she would come right over. She also put her phone number underneath this doll, and it shows like a picture of the underneath of this doll. It's like written in Sharpie in the kids' room, and basically said like, if you need anything, you need to call me and say this code word. Which, to me, one, clear that grandma knows that this relationship at the very least is very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But then two, makes me go back to why did grandma just lay back down and go to sleep if she wrote her phone number and told the kids to call her?
Yeah, why didn't you go check on the kids immediately?
Yeah.
But also, like, I hope Molly was not like hurt in her relationship. I never want a woman to be abused ever.
No one should. Woman or man.
But also, it still doesn't mean you did it in self-defense.
Yes, like you said earlier, or like I said, but you were mimicking before, like at what point is that line crossed between self-defense and beating someone to death? Granted, luckily I've never been in that situation. Like I don't know how like much anger you can hold on to and things like that. But it just seems messy on all fronts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if this was a really toxic relationship on both sides, it seems messy on both sides.
Yeah.
Anyway, Molly also said that every day there would be an interrogation of some sort. Jason would talk about what she was wearing or how she did her hair or something. A family friend also suggested to Molly that she makes recordings because Molly told this family friend she wanted a divorce, but Also, again, Lex wanted custody of the children. So this friend said you should do recordings. So Molly got these recording devices that were voice activated. Some recordings are played on the documentary, and honestly, it's a rough listen, again, because there are children involved in these recordings. Jason and Molly are fighting literally right in front of the children, and they're fighting about like dinner. And Molly tries to send the children upstairs away from the fighting. Molly says, like, go upstairs, kids. And Jason is like, you don't have the right to do that, and wants the children to stay downstairs.
Mm.
Jason is also like, you're trying to separate me from my children. And like, the children are right there. And the kids, it's very sad on this recording, are like, let's just have pancakes. Like, they're just trying to make things right.
Oh.
At one point, Sarah, the little one, screams, stop fighting. And Jason yells at Sarah and sends her to bed. And Molly and Jack are like, she's just scared. Like, don't do that. And start screaming at the dad. Again, just super sad, super toxic. It is important to point out, though, the district attorney does make a comment on this. And he's like, anyone doing secret recordings can manipulate them in however way they want someone else to look bad. And there is a point there. There is. Like, it was a toxic situation, but we don't know what happened right before the recording, right after, whatever.
And it sounds like a lot of this might have stemmed based on that specific recording from the disagreement on whether Molly should have custody of the kids or should adopt the kids or not.
Yes.
It sounds like maybe this is something that Molly was really, really pushing that he was not and didn't really want. And that was a big cause of tension. Because like to say you don't have the right to do that, that's kind of saying like, those are my kids, you can't parent them.
Exactly.
And for him to then be like, you're trying to pull me apart from my kids. It sounds like this might have been the main point of contention.
Agree. And I do admit that even if she didn't legally adopt the children, if they're still married, still like living in the same household, she does have a right to parent the children in that instance.
Yes, 100%.
But with all of this, Molly's attorney says that this proves that it was actually the second interview with the children that was rehearsed and not the first one. So they're trying to say the second interview was rehearsed, not the child advocacy one. The district attorney, however, also finds out that Tom and Sharon, because obviously they're both trying to figure things out now at this point.
Yeah.
Tom and Sharon, Tom's wife, actually had plans with Tom's boss the night of Jason's murder, and they canceled it last minute. So the district attorney's theory is Molly tried to get Jason to blow up as her parents were witnesses to get him removed from the house to file for custody of the children. And then the plan went wrong. So both are just bulking up the sides of their arguments.
Yeah. I will say, like, that did cross my mind when she was telling her friends about it. And they were like, well, start recording stuff because you'll need it if you guys get divorced. It does kind of sound like she was trying to like spin this narrative of how bad it sounds like they both were.
Yeah.
Right. They both were spinning this narrative to everybody else and really were tracking things to make sure the custody stuff went their way.
I think you're onto something. 1 year later, the defense went to the appellate court, this time arguing that there were numerous errors made during the trial, including potential jury misconduct, untested bloodstains on Tom's boxer shorts, and what they considered to be potentially exculpatory testimony from the children that was not allowed in the trial. The appellate court overturned the verdict. The prosecution, though, appealed that ruling to the full Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court rules in favor of Molly and Tom. So they win, and there is now a new trial set where the children's statements from the Child Advocacy Center will be heard. 7 years after Jason Corbett's murder in 2022, the retrial begins. Now the children are older. They're more vocal about their experience. And some things that they said on the documentary that were very disheartening is that they had pictures of their biological mother in their rooms, and Sarah actually took the pictures and hid them from the children.
Oh my God, that's like the worst thing you could ever do.
It's disgusting.
Why would you ever do that to a child's dead mother?
Yep. Molly and Sarah also had a closer relationship. Again, Sarah was super young when Molly came around, like a year old. But also, I think it's something important that I noted in the documentary, and you kind of said it, Lex. How you like wanted, like she wanted people to believe they were her kids. But Sarah was blonde hair, blue eyed, cute little girl. Molly had blonde hair, light eyes. It looked like they could be related, where
Mm-hmm.
Jack resembled more of his father. Sarah says she remembers asking Molly if she could join T-ball because her dad was the coach. And Molly's response was, "Do you not love or care about me? Why do you want to spend time with your dad?"
What?
Yeah. And then Jack remembers talking to his dad while he was on a work trip, like he's on the phone. And he says, like, "Goodbye, I love you," and hangs up. And Molly chased him up to his room and then turned everything over and destroyed his room.
What?
Yes.
So she wanted them to be all hers.
Yes. Yes.
She wanted them to love her more than him.
Which is,
Sick
yes. I don't even have words.
and twisted.
Yes. The children say, though, they do feel like they were pitted against each other at times. And the son does admit, like, I would do anything to get attention, negative, positive, whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
were young, you know? Now, Molly's attorney is really doing his job, and he finds a friend of Molly's that allegedly witnessed this controlled behavior. And he also re-looks through interviews. And on the first interview with Tom Martens, the dad, right after Jason's murder, Tom, Molly's father, mentions that Jason's first wife died under mysterious circumstances. So unfortunately, they're bringing this trauma back up because remember, she passed away from that awful asthma attack. Well, according to Tom, he met Mag's family, Jason's first wife, and this did happen. They met one time. And allegedly, Mags's dad told Tom he believed Jason killed his daughter. Now, Mags's father has passed away since all of this, but Mags's family is on the documentary, and they're like, this is absolutely not true at all.
I believe it's not true just because if you were only meeting that one time,
Why would you say that?
that's a weird thing to say. That's a weird thing to say.
Yes. But Molly's attorney obtained the official autopsy and their own medical examiner, I want to say. Important to point out. And they said that it looked like it could actually be manual strangulation. They said that Mags' sister was in the home that night and reported Maggie kept saying, "I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die." So Molly's attorney, along with this medical examiner that they got, is basically saying Mags was strangled and survived, but then died from the manual strangulation a little bit later. I think it's really important to point out that there were no external injuries on Mags' neck at all. And Mags' sister, her own sister who was there that night, said literally that didn't happen.
There, manually strangling someone is the hardest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as easy as it looks in movies and shit. I know this only because of all the true crime we listen to.
Yep.
And there's never a, it could have been manual strangulation. It is or it isn't.
Yes. After the sentencing, Mags' family comes out and says Mags' death was a result of her lifelong asthma and her husband did not murder her, but instead tried to save her life. They said on the night she died, she used both her inhalers and a nebulizer, but they weren't helping. So Jason went and woke Catherine, her sister, up, called an ambulance. Jason actually ended up putting Maggie in the car and drove to meet the ambulance on the way and tried to revive Maggie before he met the ambulance. The family said Jason did everything he could to save the person he absolutely adored, and their family had always been grateful for the way he tried to save her. So I'm believing Mags' family.
They were there.
Yes, exactly. But basically, Molly's attorney is really pushing for the strangulation to show self-defense. Like, they even bring up that they found a urine stain in Molly's pajamas. Molly and Tom both end up doing plea agreements. And Molly appears on this documentary and says that the only reason she went through with the plea deal is because she didn't want her dad to be in jail for the rest of his life. But anyways, Molly pleads no contest, which basically is accepting punishment without admitting guilt. And I don't understand why that's a thing. And the dad pleads guilty to voluntary manslaughter. The judge sentences them to 51 to 71 months in jail, but with time served, they spend about 7 to 8 more months in jail. The judge does say it was super hard trying to find the truth in this case, but wanted to stress that the children were completely blameless.
Obviously. Thanks,
Yes.
Judge.
Yes.
Who would have fucking thought it? Oh, glad you cleared that up. We all thought that this guy died because his kids.
You said things, Judge, like you knew him. Like that was his legal name. But very eek is both now Molly and her dad are free. However, Molly is not allowed to have any contact with the children per a court order.
You should not be allowed to have contact with any children per a court order. Never talk to a fucking child again.
But Sarah and Jack, the children, continue to live with their aunt in Limerick. Sarah is a little more outspoken about her experience, and she actually wrote 2 books. Batty.
I want to read them.
One of the books is a children's book about loss, grief, and blended families. It's called Noodle Loses Dad.
Stop it right now. That's so freaking cute.
And it's so sweet because she was so young when this happened. So, like, that's helping people. You know it is.
Yes.
The second book is her memoir. It's called A Time for Truth, My Father Jason and My Search for Justice and Healing. This was released in February 2025, and I do really want to read it. I have not had a chance to read it yet, baddies, but I do want to.
Adding it to my list now.
Yes. And Tracy, Jason's sister, also wrote a book, but all of these books will be linked if you guys want to add them. Jack is more private, and he doesn't want to speak about his parents publicly, aside from, of course, the documentary. He made an exception to that because he does want the truth out there. That's what he said. He currently, though, is studying music in college, and he is a singer-songwriter. So Jack is pretty amazing, too. So, like, these children are amazing with all the crazy, awful trauma they went through.
Also, I just looked up this Noodle Loses Dad book, and it looks so cute.
I almost want to read that one as well. Like, I know it's a children's book,
yeah.
but I really do feel like that's so helpful for a kid who has to deal with loss and stuff.
Yes. And parents who have to talk to their kids about loss. I feel like a parent doesn't ever want to say the wrong thing. They don't know what to do. And this is someone who firsthand experienced multiple losses. Both of her parents were dead by the time she was, what, 8?
8. No, I think it's a beautiful thing that they're helping people and, you know, being creative and stuff.
Yes.
But that, Alexis, is the awful murder of Jason Corbett.
This case made me super angry.
It was rough. Honestly, it took me a while to research this one because it was rough. No other words besides it was really rough, and I think there's still a lot of lies involved, and there's just, and not on the children's part whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's more going on in that house than we know, but I don't know that we'll ever know the actual truth of what was going on in that house.
And sadly, I don't think we ever will, especially because like they're both free now. They served their time, quote unquote. Like,
yep.
And only the children know. And you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just awful.
And even they don't know, you know, I'm sure stuff happened outside of the house and not around the children. And like, I know that one clip, the dad was like, don't go upstairs. But like, I'm sure a lot of times the kids weren't around.
Yeah. Cause it's not like they're around 24/7. And then like you said, to lose, I mean, they technically lost 3 parents. Their biological mother, who seems to be this heavenly saintly person, their father, and then they really did love Molly and see her as a mom.
The mother that they really, from their ages, that's really the only mother they actually knew.
Exactly. And they clearly lost her because she's a little cuckoo banana.
Yeah.
Just sad, just terrible.
Well, that was overall super sad. Thanks for that.
I know, a kind of sad one to end season 2 on. Probably should have did your Michael Jackson one for the end.
But that's okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Wherever you are listening, you should follow us so that way you know right away when we're coming back. And you could also follow us on Instagram. Instagram's where we're most active. We're also on Facebook, TikTok, And all of our episodes are on YouTube. And if you want to give us a review, that'd be great, especially for you Apple Podcast listener.
Yeah. You can also send us an email with a case suggestion or just say hey to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com, getting us ready for that 3rd season. Intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny. Tell a friend, tell everybody you love in the whole entire world, and tune in to our socials for when we will be back.
Bye, baddies.
Love, 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 love you.